It's no joke at this point that hot-headed characters voiced by Rie Takahashi goes all out from the get-go, only to suffer dire consequences after. Well, except for Ernesty with his Catalyst Crystal shenanigans. I'm sorry, Sana, you can only fire another burst 24 hours later. But hey, at least you can still move around. What is going on, guys? MJ2005 Gundam here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the high-grade Gundam Perfect Strike Freedom from Gundam Breaker Battlogue. Weird name arrangement aside, this is what some may picture to be the Strike Freedom Gundam back when the name was first announced. At a hefty price tag of 2300 yen, you get a complimentary 12 runners, a tiny sticker sheet, and a wire. The majority of the build is identical to the high-grade Cosmic Era Strike Freedom Gundam due to 7 of the runners being reused from it, but the new chests and weapons do bring something new to the build while still keeping things simple. Nut marks are not a big issue here, save for the Dragoons, so there is not much need to worry about it. There are some small pieces like the face detail and head crest, but beginners and beyond should have few troubles assembling it. All put together, and the Gundam Perfect Strike Freedom is a rather striking design, no pun intended. On a basic note, the proportions are accurate, color choice is correct, and the part separation is phenomenal, with stickers being limited to only the eyes and head sensors. There's still that extra silver one for going under the eyes should you choose to trace the blue eyepiece. However, what dominates the sights is the super multiple assault striker on the back. At 29 cm wide with the wings outstretched, it takes up a lot of lateral space, and at some viewing angles, it just feels too big. On the plus side, I like how the torso is entirely remade to look just like the Strike's chest while bearing some design elements from the original Freedom. The cherry on top is the repurposed old parts, like the chest cannon being used as the heat vents for the weapon pod, the shoulder thrusters being used in the backpack, and the red rim for the vents on the wings being used around the micro missile launcher and the top thrusters of the striker pack. A lick of grey paint is needed for the missile pod and perhaps a light touch of panel lining, but otherwise, the Gundam Perfect Strike Freedom is perfectly presentable out of the box. Standing at 13.8 cm tall, it towers over the average Gundam, and even taller than the Strike Freedom Gundam. But like I said before, its height has nothing on its width, so it does look larger than it actually is. Articulation begins with a ball and neck joint in the head with a wide range of movement and a solid connection. The arms can swing forwards, roll in their sockets, and rotate. Shoulder weaponry are stationary, but the arms can still move out to a decent degree, although the claw does get in the way more than the weapon pod. There is a bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, and ball socket wrists. There is a decent roll for abdomen crunches and a massive peg for waist rotation. All of the skirts can move, though the side skirts are a bit limited. The legs can do the funky dance and kick 90 degrees forwards and backwards, while kicking out at about 45 degrees. There is a thigh swivel, double jointed knees, and a thruster panel that can open up. Ankle armor is independent, the feet can rock back and forth to a wide degree, but not too much side to side. They can also rotate, and the toes can point down. Finally, the railgun turrets are ball jointed while the segments themselves can fold. The wings can rotate and flap up and down, but not as far as in the anime, and the bottom boosters are on ball joints. Overall, it's the same articulation as the normal Strike Freedom, but the main issue is how the backpack is too heavy for itself. The double peg connection is not weak by any means, but the backpack still tries to disconnect itself while posing because it is heavier than the actual Gundam itself. Evidently, it is back heavy, but the bottom Dragoon serves as awesome supports on the ground. The shoulder claw has the potential to be extremely loose after you mess around with it for a while, and that is a pain in the ass. Accessories start with a pair of holding hands and open hands, which is nice for dynamic displays. As for weapons, the railguns on the back can rotate forward and unfold for deployment, and they kind of remind me of the Noir Striker. Next are the Super Dragoons. They are relatively easy to remove, but they can't be displayed with conventional means, and not even the Strike Freedom DX set can help with that. For defensive purposes, a beam shield can be deployed from the gauntlets, and thankfully, the different gauntlet shapes don't hinder its usage. Speaking of which, the left gauntlet can rotate forward to deploy the Lichtfang beam blade with a vigorous effect part, while the right one can rotate forward to use the subtle Indra stun unit. The Panzer Eisen rocket anchor on the left shoulder can be fired up with a wire, and on top of the wire holding up well, the claw blades can move for expression. Finally, handheld weapons consist of the Schwertgewehr anti-ship blade and the Hyper Impulse gun Acne. Beam effects are included for the former, while the metallic blue sticker is included for the latter. They look basic at best, but they can still be securely held in the hands and are practical to use because of their smaller size, although the handle at the stock of the gun could be a bit tricky to work with. They can also be combined with each other to be used as the Super Schwertveil Veil, with beams covering the top and bottom for wide sweeping attacks, or the Super Acne for amplified firepower. While the latter holds fine as it uses the gun handle, the former is a bit dodgy as it's a round handle in a square hole, but surprisingly, it still holds up better than I expected. The separate weapons can be stored on the lower rings of the striker pack when not in use, but they do increase the backpack's weight, so an adapter to clip onto the bottom of the striker pack is included for better weight distribution during aerial poses. Unfortunately, it only works with the action bases 1, 4, and 5, and none are included in the kit, so you have to get your own. Leftovers include the original white beaten section, red trim and vents of the chest, an extra gauntlet, original abdomen and side skirts, crotch crest, wing joints and thrusters, tops of the beam rifles with one extra scope, an extra thruster rim, and the beams from the high-grade Cosmic Era Infinite Justice Gundam. While you can't quite use the chest, backpack, and beam rifle pieces, you can revert the lower torso to that of the original Strike Freedom if you swap the railguns over, and other parts will serve as pretty good backups for both this kit and the Infinite Justice. On an engineering perspective, there's not much that could have gone wrong as it reuses tooling from the original Strike Freedom Gundam. Nonetheless, the Gundam Perfect Strike Freedom looks good while stickers are basically non-existent, although those big nubs on the Dragoons still irk me a lot. But all comes crashing down here, as while the articulation is there, the backpack sucks the fun out of it. Its weight and size not only limits posing options, it makes the kit very unwieldy to handle. You can't even solve the space inefficiency issues entirely as the wings don't fold down as far as they did in the anime. And don't even get me started about the claw. The build is simple and honestly enjoyable in a vacuum, and I love their ingenuity in reusing the old parts. The mechanics are all there at little to no drawbacks, all with pretty sharp looks and universal mechanics, if not the build feeling a little bit trite. At 2300 yen, it's not cheap for a high grade. What you get is a solid looking kit from a simple build that could have been used for play as well as display, but it is not a fun kit to pose, nor is it a space efficient kit either. Although, you can still mix elements of the base kit thanks to the leftover parts and have some serve as backups, which is helpful for beginners and butterfingers. It would have also been helpful to include an Action Base 5 in the kit to reuse with the adapter, but well, it's Bandai. In the end, it averages a 6.75 out of 10, and while this kit is not bad by any means, it is still a weaker entry compared to both kits from the first wave. Well, it's just the reality of sticking every single conceivable weapon onto one gunpla, so I can't really blame them for that. And that wraps it up for this review, so thank you all so much for watching it. If you did like it, please be sure to drop a like, comment, and also subscribe for more gunplay reviews, gunplay news, and all that kind of stuff. Turn on notifications for future content alerts if you haven't, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out.